Hi, I'm Assia. This is going to be a quick review of the Clarifix procedure. I had it about 2 months ago and I will tell you all about it. But first, I want to give you some background information. So, um, I, for about 5 years, I had pretty severe chronic congestion. Definitely a lot worse when I would lie down and try to sleep. In the first in the beginning, about the first 1 to 2 years, I was able to kind of sleep, and then gradually I had to start using breathe right strips and one of those nasal splints that keep your nostrils wide open. They look funny. Um, I used to live in Holland, and about 2 years after I came to the US, these problems started developing. So I was never sure kind of why it happened. Um, So, in the years that it was building up, if I would sleep without any sleeping aids, I would have dreams of suffocation, and I was often not able to fall into a really deep and restful sleep. This, of course, became really frustrating because sometimes you're so tired, you just want to lay down and sleep right away, but I always had to wait for the nasal spray to work and then put the clamp in. And the first few months that I had the clamp, I had a lot of painful scabs in my nose to kind of get used to um, to get used to the clamp being in there because it had some sharp edges and it was a lot of adjustment. So over the years, I tried different things. So it was no nasal sprays. I tried fluticasone, Afrin, nasal rinses, and steaming. And having saline in my nose. I did the breathe right strips, which really helped. Out of all the sprays, only Azalastin worked really well. But that, of course, also came with some downsides. The biggest one is the burning in your nose, and if it would seep in the back of your throat on days in which I had extra congestion, it would hurt for about an hour. Like it's really hot and a burning feeling in your throat. So I had actually also nasal surgery. I had some turbinate reduction. They placed grafts over here in my nose because I also happen to have weak nasal cartilage. So every time I'd breathe in like this, my nostrils would close all the way. And then I also had a deviated septum, so that I had all of that fixed in one surgery, assuming that the problems would be over. But then months after recovering, nothing changed, which was really frustrating and disheartening. So for a while, I decided to let it kind of rest and hoped it would go away. For a few years, I only used the Astelin spray, which is an anti-allergy spray, and the nasal splint, which helped. But of course, I started feeling as if I could be trying to fix the problem again because I couldn't imagine living my entire life having to do this every day. And I decided that I would go back to my ENT and decide and come up and see if we could come up with any solutions. And he said, why don't you try the Clarifix procedure? But he was cautious about it. He brought it up, but it seemed that he didn't quite wanted to do it right away. But he brought it up as an option. So there were a few options of which I liked the Clarifix the most, which entails freezing the back of your nose. So there's a nerve that runs there. It's called the posterior nasal nerve. And that causes the nose to fill up with blood, as well as produce mucus. So you could be having an overactive nerve. So if you then freeze it, the signals between the nose and the brain would then not go as fast or diminish, and then your nose would not get as congested. That was the idea. I said right away, I'll do it. I mean, because he said there weren't a lot of downsides. it was still kind of new and there weren't a lot of reviews out there, but he had been doing already a few of them. And he said the largest problem really was having discomfort after the procedure. And some people would develop like kind of like dry eyes, which then also later would resolve. So I read the peer-reviewed study about it. I liked what I read. I wanted to try it because it wasn't surgical. So I said I want to do it. He said you have to wait 30 days because I don't want you to jump into this decision right away, even though there weren't that many downsides to it. But I waited 30 days. After exactly 30 days, I emailed him and I said, I want to do it. So I made an appointment and I had another few weeks to read about it, to think about it. And I didn't see a lot of downsides to it. So I will now kind of go through what the procedure was like. So you would come in and then they would numb up your nose with lidocaine. You know how you have those little spongy, you know, those spongy thingies that they dip it in lidocaine and then they push it up your nose pretty far because the procedure itself is done pretty far into your nose, all the way in the back of the terminates. So they let that sit for about 20 minutes. And then they have a lidocaine mist that they're also spraying in your nose. And after another 15 minutes or so, he has a needle with more anesthetic. So then a funny thing he did is he pushed in order to reach the back of my nose to put the needle in different places over there, he had to squish my turbinate. So he actually put his finger in my nose and then pushed it to the side really hard. And he says, you're going to hear a bit of a crackling. Don't be alarmed. I'm just kind of pushing the turbinate aside. So it did feel really as if something was, you know, crackling inside. It was really odd. And it didn't hurt, but it was just an odd feeling. So yeah, he put the needle in about 4 different locations in my nose. And he did that obviously in both nostrils. And then it was time to do the sort of adrenaline thing. So he would then inject the nose with some adrenaline and you would get so hyped up. You feel like your heart is pounding. You want to run. Your muscles are trembling. You start breathing like crazy as if you just went for a run. And it's an interesting feeling. So after that, he puts the wand in. He opened up the freezing part for about 30 seconds per nostril. I didn't feel a thing. I was able to look at the camera while he was doing it. And then when he was done, he had to wait a few breaths until the wand was kind of thawed off my nose, and then he was able to pull it out. So he warned me that before the procedure that I could get a really bad headache. About 50% of people would get a really bad headache. So during the procedure, I didn't feel anything anywhere. So I was like, I might just be part of this 50%. But about 5 minutes after I had the procedure, I started to get a really mild headache. I was like, nah, it's only mild. It's not so bad. But then it became worse and worse. And then I started also having pain in my nose. Somehow the pain spread through my nose, to my teeth, my gum, my palate. And somehow the pain got so intense, as if all my teeth had been pulled. I can't really explain how the pain felt. It was just very painful, as if all my teeth had been pulled. My nose was just super painful too, but not where it happened, just in general, like a general dull and strong pain at the same time. So that lasted about about 1.5 hours, and then it started going away. I also was not able to speak during when I had pain. I really had to be quite immobile. I really had to like sit there for like an hour like this. And then after 1.5 hours it went away. I also had quite a bit of nasal bleeding too for about 3 hours after. So don't be alarmed if it goes on for a while. But that also, of course, stopped. And I had a really good rest of the day. My nose felt still congested because, because of the procedure that day. And they said that within about 3 days to a week, you'll feel relief. So because I went through so many procedures already, I thought, well, maybe it's not going to happen, but at least I tried. So, but after a week, I really did started feeling that I could get more air in. And I had, after a week, my first night that I slept without any sleeping aids. So that was by all means a victory. And then for the week after, I still slept without any sleeping aids. And about 1 month in, I felt there was a little bit of congestion coming back, but I was still getting much more air in. So I now, 2 months later, I sleep with just a splint because my nose is pretty narrow and I have pretty thick grafts in both sides. And you can see them here. See the little here and here? Those are where the grafts are, so they're closing up the front part of my nose, but the back part is pretty open, and it was very much worth it. I also have a less drippy nose. I used to have always tissues on me. I'd always, every few hours, I need to use like a full tissue. During allergy season, it was crazy how much mucus I was producing. And now I don't need as much. I still have a little bit of drippy nose, but I'm good. I have much more air in. I don't have any dry eyes or anything. I didn't experience any other side effects. I'm very happy with the procedure. I'm very glad I did it. I had to kind of insist with my ENT to do it because he was worried about maybe putting me through too much. But since this was a procedure with relatively little side effects, for now, because it's kind of feels experimental. There's not a lot of information available from other patients. That's why I'm making this video. But for now, it has worked really well. If it changes, I'll upload another video. So I recommend it to other people and see if maybe you may be helped by this procedure as well. I mean, it really improved my my life in general, especially the sleeping part. I don't have to wait anymore for my nose to, because I had nights that even with all the sleeping aids I was using, I still have so much congestion that I couldn't sleep. So I thought any improvement is wonderful, and it has definitely improved for about 50%. And it may be still getting better over time. So just give it some time when you're doing it. So that's my video on the Clarifix procedure. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me and on Facebook channel or post a comment. I hope it was helpful. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer it. And if you're suffering like I was, I really hope this might be an answer, or you'll find something else that helps you. And good luck. Bye-bye.